In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to bring in guests into OBS for live streaming, either YouTube, Facebook, or any other platform. And we're gonna be using a platform called VDO NINJA. As you can see, I've been doing it. This is my guest number one, and this is my friend as well that I had on stream. The video looks really good and the audio is awesome. So I've been loving this method and I want to show you guys how to do it. I'm going to show you how to access VDO NINJA, how to set it up, and how to send the link to your guests so they can join you in VDO NINJA and take everything, your guest and your image, back into OBS and add some overlays to make sure it looks really good, and send that to your live stream, either YouTube, Facebook, or any other streaming platform of your choice. So let's not take much time, let's get right into it. What is going on, guys? My name is Sam. You're watching live production tips and tools helping you master live streaming. So when it comes to bringing in guests into OBS, it's been a hassle because OBS doesn't have a way to actually do that natively. You have to rely on some external applications. Some people use Zoom, some people use Teams, and it just do like a screen share from, like, you know, from a different monitor. But this method so far has been the best for me, and a lot of people have been using it. So I'm gonna show you how to actually get it done. And of course, we're starting right now. So the first thing we need to do is we need to actually find a way to send a link to our guests so we can bring our guests into OBS. For today's video, we're gonna be creating three main scenes. One scene, the first scene is gonna be my actual camera, which will be your main camera. The second scene is gonna be me and the guest, and the third scene is gonna be just the guest. So basically that's the ideal setup for like a guest show, where you can actually switch between yourself, the guest, and both of you in the same frame. And of course, I'm gonna show you some overlays I can use to make it look really good. The first thing we need to do before we actually go to OBS, of course I have OBS open already, but the first thing we need to do, I'm gonna go to VDO NINJA, VDO.NINJA, and I'm gonna go ahead and go where it says create a room. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a room, and then again, you can bring in more than one guest, but for today's video I'm gonna show you how to bring in just one guest. Okay, just a demo. So room name, I'm gonna call it my show. I'm gonna call it Sam's room, and then password, you can create a password. For now I'm gonna use 1234. And then you have a few options here. The first one say the guest can see the director but not the other guest video. Again, this is optional, it's up to you. The director will be performing as well, appearing in group scenes. You want to make sure you check this because you're gonna be performing most of the time. Preferred video codec, usually I use H.264. For here, you can actually click here to get some tips. Of course, you're just gonna go here and enter the room as the room's control center in the director's role. So you want to make sure you click to this. I guess we're good. I thought somebody else was using the same room, but I think we're good. So as you can see, this is what VDO NINJA is gonna look like the first time you open it, and this is where your guests are going to show up usually. So now what you would do is you have this link on the top here where it says invite a guest. So now you need to copy this link, okay, where it says guest here. You don't need to look at this. All you need is this link right here. Just copy this link, and then you need to send it to somebody, the person who's gonna be on the show with you. So I'm just gonna paste it into the browser just to show you what the guest is gonna see, or the person you're actually bringing on the show. What they're gonna see once they open the link, they're gonna get something that looks like this, and then they will need to enter the password, which is 1234, and then hit OK. And then it's gonna ask them how they want to join. If they want to join with the screen share, most of the time it's gonna be to join with the camera. So go ahead and actually hit join with the camera. You want to make sure they hit allow this time, because you know sometimes your computer needs a permission. And as you can see, it has detected already a camera, but what you would see, what the guest would do, they will have to go here where it says video source and choose which camera they want to use. So mine, I already have the Opus Tiny 2 webcam ready for me. So you can use any microphone that you want that's available. Again, that's your guest. So for me, I have the Rodecaster Duo Chat available for me. That's what I'm gonna use. It's already selected, so it doesn't matter. We may get some echoes at some point because I'm using everything on the same computer for the sake of this video. But guess what? Let me find a different microphone. So let me use the Opus Tiny 2 microphone. So it's now to avoid some sort of echoes. And then for audio output destination, again, you can choose which speakers that you want. For me, I'm gonna choose a different speakers just to avoid some echoes but again, this will be for the guests. So the guests, they will choose whatever speakers they have available. So they're gonna be able to hear you when you talk to them. And then once they are ready, all they gotta do is they're gonna go ahead and click start, okay? So as you can see, this is what the guest is saying on their end. As you can see, the microphone is on. They have the ability to mute the speaker. Always encourage them to have some headphones because that's the only way to avoid some echoes. And then they still have access to settings where they can, change their sources, their inputs, microphone and stuff like that. They can also hang up if they wanted to. They can also share their screen if they wanted to. But again, for this time, we're gonna just keep it simple. Just the camera, you wanna talk to them, that's it. So once they join, you go back to VDO Ninja. As you can see, you're gonna get a preview that will look like this, and everything will look like this. Now, this is gonna be, you can see this little speaker icon is gonna be by default, it's gonna look muted. That's to just avoid some echoes and stuff like that. Just keep it that way. Once you're done, all you gotta do is we're gonna go back to OBS before we actually send an image to the guest, because the guest needs to hear us as well. So that's something that we're gonna set up at the end. We're gonna go back to OBS, and the first thing, we're gonna create a new scene, and the first scene is gonna be called, of course, just say main. I'm gonna hit okay. For this scene, it's gonna be myself. So I'm gonna go ahead again. I will actually encourage you use some sort of overlays. If you don't like overlays, that's fine, okay? But if you have some overlays, I'll actually show you where you can get some good overlays that I personally use from streamtools.com. You can go there and find some overlays that will actually have guest layouts already kind of pre-made for you. So let me show you, like this one right here. You can have like all the overlays, layouts for you, for the guest, and for yourself as a host. So everything, if you have more than, if you're sharing a screen, everything is pre-made for you. So whatever you like, go ahead and just download. They also have like some animated overlays. Go ahead and check out streamtools.com, and I'm gonna leave a link down below. Just find an overlay pack that you like, take that, bring it back into OBS, and I'm gonna show you how to set up everything. So back to OBS, the first thing, we're gonna go ahead and actually add an overlay for myself. For this time, we're gonna be using a static overlay instead of animated overlay. So I'm gonna bring in an image, and then I'm gonna call it overlay main. I'm gonna hit okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to browse. Again, most of the time, if you purchase these overlays, they're gonna come in a zip folder. So you wanna make sure you double click, you right click to it and unzip it. Once you do, what we need to do, we're looking for single overlays for myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually maybe take this one, kind of minimalistic. Again, you have different overlays in here, different layouts. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually use this one for myself. And then first of all, I'm gonna make sure it's there, and I'm gonna hit the plus sign, and I'm gonna bring in a camera. So I'm gonna go to the plus sign, and I'm gonna go to add a camera source, which is gonna be a video capture device. And then I'm gonna call it main camera. This is for our first scene, and I'm gonna hit okay. And then for this time, I'm gonna use my Streamlabs virtual camera, which is the main camera. You wanna make sure the overlay is always on the top, and boom, as you can see, this is what we look like. Now you can make it a little smaller, fit inside the canvas like this. And once you're happy, you go ahead and actually lock it, something like this, and then boom. So as you can see now, this is what I'm gonna look like, okay? Also, another thing, don't forget to add your microphone. So hit the plus sign, and I'll add, go to audio input capture, and then I can type in main mic, name it main mic, and then hit okay. And then I'm gonna bring in my Rodecaster Duo, okay, which is my main microphone. And as you can see, my microphone is there. Everything looks good. The next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna set up our second scene, which is gonna be just our guest scene before we bring in both me and the guest. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the plus sign here, and I'm gonna call it guest. And then for this scene, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my main scene, and I'm gonna copy everything, copy the mic, and I'm gonna copy the overlay, and I'm gonna just select and then hit copy, and I'm gonna go to guest, and then I'm gonna paste. So now I have the same thing. I have my microphone and I have the overlay, same overlay. What I need to do now is I need to add another source, which is gonna be now the image coming from the guest. So I'm gonna hit the plus sign, and I'm gonna go ahead and add a browser source. So I'm gonna go to browser, and then for this, I'm gonna call it guest remote. You can call it whatever you want. Hit OK, and as you can see, it's gonna ask me to add the URL. So I'm gonna go back to our VDO Ninja room here. So what you need to do is you want to go here where it says copy solo view link. So I'm gonna go hit copy. Again, before you do that, you can actually go to video settings here if you want, and then you can adjust some video settings. If you see some things that you want to adjust, you can adjust it, you know, all some stuff here, like, you know, sharpness, whatever, like all the good stuff here. But again, you can even go to the audio settings and adjust some stuff, but in my opinion, most of the time it's gonna be already set, so you don't have to do much here. Just hit copy solo view link, and then you want to make sure you go back to OBS and then go here where it says URL, and you want to make sure you actually remove this and then replace with the link that we just got from VDO Ninja. Width, you want to make sure is actually 1920 by height is gonna be 1080, and then you want to make sure you check control audio via OBS. And then you can also use custom frame rate, and then you can actually make sure you use 30 frames per second, and then everything else you can keep it the way it is, and then hit OK. So once you hit OK, as you can see, we have an image coming from VDO Ninja. All right, so now once it gets in, sometimes maybe look a little blurry or something like that, but this is gonna depend on your guest internet connection. But as you can see, the image is clear now. No problem. So what I'm gonna do now, what I have to do is I have to make sure the overlay is on the top, just to make sure it looks good, and then I can resize, and then I can actually lock the overlay, and then I can also like resize the guest image to make sure it looks good and fits well in the overlay. Again, something like this looks good. Once you're happy, you can also hit the lock icon and make sure you lock it. Now, as you can see now, if we go to the audio mixer, this is important. You can see that the guest, remote guest, has audio. You can see that we have the main mic. The guest remote, this is the audio coming from the guest, and it's coming through your audio, your computer system's audio. Now what you need to do is you need to click to these three dots here, because you want to make sure you can hear them, and the only way to hear them is when you go to advanced and then go to guest remote. That audio, you want to make sure you go to under monitoring and then choose monitor and output. This is important. Now you're gonna get some echoes because again, this is me kind of speaking twice. But if it was a guest, it would be just a clean audio coming from the guest, getting into my ears, and then of course going to the stream so people can hear it. Okay, so this is very, very important. Again, for the sake of this video, I'm probably gonna mute it because I want to avoid some echoes. In your case, important, you know, we want to make sure this is on and this is actually on monitor and output. Next up, what we need to do is we need to set up now the D scene. The D scene is basically me and the guest in the frame. So we're gonna go ahead and click the plus sign under scenes, and we're gonna call it, we're gonna create a new scene, and we're gonna call it host and guest. What we're gonna do is we can go to the main scene here, and what I can do, I can grab the microphone because the microphone has to be everywhere, and hit paste. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna also hit the plus sign, and then I'm gonna go and bring in an image. So that's gonna be an overlay. So I'm gonna call it guest overlay, and then I'm gonna go browse, and then for this time I'm gonna go to the same pack that we used, but I'm gonna use single. So I'm gonna go to interview overlays, and I'm gonna bring look for an overlay that actually can take 2 people. I can go with this one. There's so many different overlays and the layouts may be a little different, but this one is gonna be the one we're gonna be using today. So once it comes in, I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. And this is what it looks like. Now some overlays will be like more full screen, kind of zoomed in a little bit, some layouts. So you're gonna choose whatever that works well for you. So now what we need to do, I can actually even go ahead and actually lock it so I don't move it by accident. And then what I need to do is I'm gonna go ahead and go to the main, and I want to make sure I bring in my main camera. So I'm gonna go right click and copy, go to the host and guest scene, and then I'm gonna go ahead and hit paste. And then for this time I need to resize it, so I'm gonna go ahead and resize it. So basically this is my image, and make sure it's under the overlay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and resize it, make sure it fits the canvas of the overlay. This looks good. Usually you don't have to crop it. Some layouts or some overlays you may have to crop, but this one I don't have to crop it. Next up, I'm gonna go to the guest scene again. It's gonna be the same thing. So I'm gonna go to guest remote source, copy the source. So I'm gonna go right click to it, copy the source, go back to host and guest scene, and then I'm gonna go paste reference, and I want to make sure it's under the main camera. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and actually resize it so it fits the canvas, just like this. So now, as you can see, I have me on this side, and then I have the guest on the other side, double me. So as you can see, we're not done. As you can see, you have to pay attention to audio. Now we have the guest audio is still coming in right here. And then because that one came with the scene is attached to the audio, which is awesome. It's something you need to do. And then you have the main mic, so have like an intro, but this is not part of what we did. Let's say I start my show. What's going on, guys? My name is Sam, live production tips and tools, blah, blah, blah. I'll talk, and my mic is on and everything. And then I go to the guest. Guest starts talking. Welcome to the show. How you doing? And this is the guest. And then I can also switch to, both of us, me and the guest talking. Hey, blah, 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 blah. You see? And the show is going to be dynamic. Yeah, so as you can see, there's an audio missing. So basically, if I switch to my scene when I'm talking and the guest talks, people may not gonna be able to hear the guest. But how can you do that? How can you fix this? What you can do is you can actually, because the guest is coming through the system's audio, what you can do to fix it, you can go add an audio source, another source, and go to audio output capture, and then you can actually name it whatever you want. You can even leave it this way, and then you hit OK, go to default, and then you can choose the actual you can choose whatever main speaker is in your system. So me is actually the Rodecaster Duo, so I can go ahead and actually go to the speaker Rodecaster Duo and then hit OK. So now that everything is set, the next step is actually gonna be super crucial, because we're not done yet, but we're almost done. So what you need to do now, as you can see, if you go to the guest side, they are still saying themselves, which is not fair. So what you need to do, usually you would go here as a director, and then you go here where it says enable director's microphone or video. So you need to make sure you click to this, and then you need to make sure you go to settings, because right now I'm using the same camera that the guest is using, which is not fair. So you need to go here, and then you need, usually what I would do, I will send them the OBS. I need to use the OBS virtual camera. So I'll send them just go to OBS and start the OBS virtual camera. And then that virtual camera is gonna be what they're gonna be seeing here. So I'm gonna go here and go to OBS virtual camera, not OBS, but OBS. So now whatever is happening on the stream, they're gonna be able to see it. So this is gonna be what they see. So if I go to OBS, if I switch to host and guest like this to this scene, they're gonna be able to actually see what I am showing on screen, which is kind of genius, right? Now, if I go to audio source, for the audio source, you want to make sure you send them your microphone, which is, in my case, is going to be the Rodecaster Duo. That's the interface that I'm using. If you have a USB microphone, it's going to be the name of that microphone. So you're going to go to audio source here and then choose the name of the microphone that you are actually using. So once you're done, you can actually go ahead and close. And as you can see, this is what the guest is gonna see. Now, if I go to the guest side, you can see that they're gonna see themselves and they're gonna see whatever you're actually showing them in OBS. So I can go here. Let's say I switch to them, guest. If I go back to the guest, you can see that they're gonna see themselves twice, but they know that they are actually live or they are on program. So if I go to OBS and switch to myself as the host, you're gonna go back to the guest side. As you can see, they're gonna see themselves and they're gonna see me as well the host as well, which is awesome. So this is kind of genius. This is how I do it. Again, personally, if you want to do it differently, you can feel free to just send your camera as, you know, like some other camera that you may have connected on the computer. But in my opinion, this works well because they are able to see the show. So if you playing back a video or you reacting to a video before they come on, they can see what's going on. Or if you have some pre-show announcements, they can see what's going on before they actually start talking. I actually recommend to most of you guys. So now if you want to make your life easier, I'll also recommend you use something like a Stream Deck. And basically it's like a hotkey kind of thing where you can set up every scene and you're gonna be able to choose instead of kind of, because you, again, as a director, you directing the show and you switching scene, instead of having to click all the time, you can actually go ahead and just press a button. You can have a button assigned to your guest scene and have another button assigned to both of you and another button assigned to you. So you can easily run a show with, you know, something like a Stream Deck. So I'll actually recommend you use that. But other than that, guys, if you actually curious to see, if you want to know how to set up the entire show, starting from the intro scene, as you can see, I have an intro scene here. I have my main, I have the guest scene, showed you how to do that. But you want to add more scenes, something like Be Right Back, the countdown timer that I just showed you, or some other scenes, maybe to be able to share a screen, maybe to bring in some messages in chat and be able to highlight that on screen. So basically everything that you need to set up your OBS show and video, where I'm gonna walk you through everything, set up the show from start to the finish, including bringing in guests and chat and everything. And that video, guys, when you watch it, you're probably not gonna watch any other video about OBS and this kind of stuff, because it's gonna give you everything that you need. So if you're interested, make sure you check it out. I'm gonna link it right here and I'll see you there, guys. Take care.